Hey, Crawlspacers, welcome to yet another Amazing Spider-Man #1 review show. I think this is the fourth or the fifth we've done over the years. And someone that's been with me for most of those is JR. Didn't we review ASM Volume 3 #1?
I think we've
reviewed.
I'm trying to think of how many times we've reviewed an Amazing Spider-Man #1.
The only one we haven't done is the 90s one. We didn't have podcasting back then.
Yeah. And of course, we didn't do the one from 1963, but
we were just talking. We could have done it on the AM radio. We could have had a show. What we have the what do you think of this new book called Amazing Spider-Man? Anyway, welcome, JR. You will not watch the Multiverse of Madness. I got tickets for Sunday, man.
Garbage.
I've
seen enough on the spoilers on YouTube that I will not watch it.
Oh,
it is. I saw
Sam Raimi.
No,
come on.
Nope. There's one scene that so infuriated me. I almost went George Barrowman on it.
Oh, that's awful. All right. We've got Chi-Town in the house.
Hey,
what's up, man? You got your tickets for Doctor Strange yet, or have you seen it?
I already seen it, and I liked it, JR. I'm surprised you didn't like it.
What would your grade be?
My grade, I'd give it about an A-.
A-.
I don't want to give away any spoilers, so
Please
early.
Don't. I got tickets for Sunday.
Yeah, but the way they I can't. It would give something away if I even hinted at what the scene I despise. But Peter probably knows which one I like.
No. All right, we're moving on. We're moving on. It's a Spider-Man show.
I'll just give you one. Here's my hint of the scene I absolutely hated. So
okay,
it's better than this one. All right, we've got Ryan in the house. What's up, Ryan?
Oh, you know me. I'm ready to go. I'm hopefully seeing it next weekend here. I have to get through graduation. It's coming up here for the
very true.
And then I plan to see it.
Speaking of fellow teachers, we've got 3 of them on the call. Well, we got Mark in the house. What's up, Mark?
Yeah, happy Teacher Appreciation Week to you too.
Oh, thank you.
No doubt. And we have the whole staff of the Crawlspace ASM review staff here. And we have 2 former Amazing Spider-Man reviewers here also, JR and myself, over the years. So we've here, I got to put these two facing,
and as you
off
can tell, the
each
years
other.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
You got to stick me down there with Mark. Okay, thanks.
We have not had
appreciate it.
We have not had you 2 on the call in a long time together. Do you even remember?
No, I don't. It was a happy time during that time, and you just had to go ruin it. I'm sure Mark's week.
Yeah, I didn't know Peter was going to be on this one, or else I would have bowed out.
Yeah, they really like each other, but don't tell them. Also, in a few moments, Mike is going to join us. Mike sent me a message. He goes, Brad, I'm going to be late. I've got problems at the bank. And I said, wait a minute, are you robbing it or are you getting robbed? I don't know. He did not answer. Once he gets on the line, we will find out what the problems were at the bank.
Yeah, the die pack they gave me probably
expired. I need to suit up in my Spidey suit and swing on over there.
He tried to get that Aunt May toaster.
I'll do that Spider News story. You dress up and go beat up Mike at the.
As Ryan and Dark Mark just watched from afar, like,
oh my gosh.
I'll be like,
as you can tell by the title of this episode, we're going to review Volume 6 of Amazing Spider-Man #1. A couple things before we get to Peter giving the recap of what happened. YouTube sent me a nice email this week, and they said, "Hey, we like what you're doing. You are now eligible for super. What are they called? Here, let me pull it up. They're called Super Thanks. So it's a little heart down here, and you click it, and you can write a little note to us while we're on the air, and you can donate here and send it, and will show up sort of like a super chat. We also have super chat over here on the side. So Super Thanks right here. So check it out. I think that's kind of fun. Thank you, YouTube. You will help us pay the bills.
Version of rattling the cup, isn't it? On the street,
pretty much. Yeah.
I'm over. I'm rattling a cup. That's a great line. Yeah, that's me, JR. Also, before we get to the review, I want to show. Thank you to Mohammed, who does this every week. He does a spider variants of the week in the Crawlspace. This book, Lord have mercy, how many are out? So let's take a look at them. You guys can comment what you think. That's the standard one. I think it's pretty good looking. John Romita Jr.
Yeah, now see that leg there? See how the knee is all bent out of shape and stuff? That was my wife before her knee surgery. So.
Ouch.
Was it as bad as Joe Theismann's?
Oh man. Got a good looking Art Adams, Mary Jane. You liking that, Peter?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no,
that's good. Up to that as well.
This one's a Bengal. So we got Manga Spider-Man, Spider-Woman,
Annie Spider-Girl. Yeah.
Who's that up there?
It's
Spider-Man India.
I don't know.
And we've got Spider-Man Noir on that cover. We've got the Hobgoblin issue with no Hobgoblin on it from the 80s. This one probably doesn't have the tattoo inserts either. We got a Chrissy Zillow cover. We've got a Clayton Crane cover, homage to ASM 300. Dell'Otto cover. Another Dell'Otto cover. I like the Greg Horn with White Rabbit taking a selfie. Looking good.
Very modern.
Humberto Ramos, in my opinion, not one of his best.
No, it's really not.
Not feeling that one. In Huck Lee, that's a good looking one.
That's not bad.
Peter ordered 15 copies of this one.
I did not know.
The J. Scott Campbell.
No.
I love that. God bless J. Scott Campbell. He can do one background and then charge for multiple different things happening in front and just put a little Photoshop filter over it. But good for him. Good for him. And that's the regular one. We've got Jim Chung. We've got Joe Jusko, one of my all-time favorites. Kale NGU. Lucio Parillo did that one. JR, what do you think of that? That's a good looking one.
Yeah, I was looking for it, but
couldn't find it, huh?
Nope. I'll be on the hunt. I'll be on the hunt whenever I go out, though. So,
by the way, we're on cover 25 of 56.
Yeah, I was like, what cover now?
Let's keep going. Homage to
no, let's not.
81. That's not an attractive one. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. 1992 Bagley cover.
Yeah, that was on a trading card, wasn't it?
I think it was that, or it was in Marvel Age or something.
It was something similar. I do remember it.
Another Mark Bagley one. Mike Mayhew. That's a good looking one. I like that one a lot. Look at Goblin. Got him right by the throat, JR.
Yeah.
Like it. There you go. There's another one. Oh, that's the one I got. I got that. I got 3 covers. That was one of them. What do you think of that, JR?
Did you have to pay more than cover price, or?
Nope. That one was just cover price.
Okay.
Isn't that pretty?
It's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting cover.
Patrick Gleason with
Is that Queen Goblin?
Queen Goblin, yes. Whoops, where did I go?
Oh.
And then you got the Norman one, which is really
like that one.
I like that one too. Peach Momoko did one. We got a Black Cat one. There you go. Peter, more Mary Jane swinging.
Yep.
Rose Besh. Alan Davis. I like the Scotty Young one. By the way, we're on number 39 of 56.
One of my Perler Bead friends actually made that cover on their Perler Bead site. So they actually made that cover right.
It's a good looking one.
Yeah, he did a really nice
This
job
is
too.
the other one I ordered. The half Mary Jane, half Black Cat. That is a beautiful cover.
Yeah, that one is that's poster material.
Stanley Lau, Argerm. Sorry. They also did one just regular Mary Jane and just regular Black Cat. So
go back to the Mary Jane one.
Whoa, nuts! Now you made me mess up. Hold
on.
Okay, there you go.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just like this is the Mary Jane I wanted to see in the Spider-Man movies, not Kirsten Dunst. I mean,
right?
I mean, it's this is the Mary Jane we should have seen.
Right. All right. We got 44-56. There we got this one by Tyler Kirkham.
Okay, that one's kind of creepy.
This one?
Yeah. Well, because isn't Spider-Gwen supposed to be just a teenager?
Yeah.
She's in college. She's like 18, I think.
I think that's like a copy of another one that artist did.
Yeah. By the way, I guess we don't have 56. These are all just the covers of the next issue. So
but yeah,
that is all the variants, by the way. Anime, who is Muhammad, he says happy to do it. Thank you, Anime. Vinkman says that Bagley cover is from the 1992 issue of Marvel Age. There you go. Mr. Comics picked up 3 covers. Let's see. Who will be the first Crawlspace panelist to commit a crime that would be covered on Spider News? Go ahead, JR. Answer that one.
Well, I don't know.
I don't think George would.
I'd like to point out that Peter has already been covered on Spider News for crime.
Yeah, for false accusation by Mark.
Twice. I vindicated you both times.
Yeah, and then you wanted the entire Crawlspace people to call if there was a disturbance, and then I got phone calls from the police department. Were you in Nebraska during that time? Like, no, I was not in Nebraska flipping somebody off.
Oh, that's funny. By the way, if you would like, speaking of, since we're pimping up the site, here is Peter's review right here. There you go. You can read it.
But don't let that deter you from visiting the site.
No.
All right. So, Peter, give me a recap of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 6, Number 1. What happens in this book?
Well, it's not going to be a recap, Pat. It's more of a storytelling of what I've read. So, Amazing Spider-Man number 1, Legacy number 895, for those of you who are paying attention. Written by Zeb Wells and art by John Romita Jr. Yay, John Romita Jr. Woohoo! Yeah. Okay, thanks for the enthusiasm, guys. There's a lot to unpack here, Crawlspacers, so we have very little time and patience to hear Dark Mark to tell you how great it is. So let's just move on. This issue starts off in outside of York, Pennsylvania, which is also known as the White Rose City. Really not relevant to the story, but the more you know. We find a smothery, smoky crater where a battered Spider-Man looks at his Spidey smartphone to see a notification that once again ASM is getting a new volume and a new number 1 issue, to which he screams off in pain and agony.
Yep.
Next, we see a carefully crafted 2-page double spread. Feast your art-loving eyes on blank black paper.
6
with the phrase
months
6 months later spread across this masterpiece.
Oh,
that's right, folks. You paid for this.
You're
How you
doing air
feeling
quotes.
about yourself? You feeling good? You want to see it again? All you got to do is close your eyes.
It's called dramatic.
You would really love the X-Men books when they do this.
Next in Queens, we find Peter and Aunt May having a tea in an apartment with no wheat cakes on the table. So there's some serious conversation going on.
Yeah.
May has figured out that whatever took place during those 6 months, Peter has been lying to her, but isn't specific on what the lie is. Whatever it is, it's huge. She can't forgive him for it. Even though it hurts her, she will always love him, support him, and believe in him, even though it hurts her, just like Spidey fans that are still buying this comic book. Talk about Spidey characters being very relatable. Peter has returned to his apartment after apparently being gone for a good amount of time. He avoids collection services that are claiming for his secret hospital experience. Like what I did there, guys, that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut from Mary Jane.
Secret hospital.
From that god-awful Ben Reilly character assassination beyond storyline that runs into his good pal, Randy Robinson. Peter asks, "Hey, Randy." Randy starts the 20 questions. "Peter, where have you been? I've been paying your rent, walking gog all the time, fending off people that want to know where you are and if you're okay." Peter, annoyed, responds back, "Dude, I'm brand new day 2.0 right now. I can't talk." Randy lashes out, "Fine." And he lashes out, "Fine, be that way and shave that stupid beard off your face. But you owe me. I'm going to do what you should have done 95 issues ago. I'm going to ask my girlfriend to marry me. You can just call and make sure that I'm alive when I ask her father's permission because, he's a mob boss." Peter slams the door on Randy's face and goes, "Fine." Meanwhile, Tombstone is having a powwow with his mob boss associates and refuses to do any kind of deal with the Rose. The Rose shows some intimidation via JMS style, and Digger crashes through the door. When Tombstone agrees to the deal, despite White Rabbit wanting to make the Rose pay for the damages done to that door that he crashed through. From what I hear, it's a very nice door.
Yeah.
Then we cut to Peter, now freshly shaven and not giving a crap, as he's about to jump out the window on his way to check on Randy. Suddenly, the Human Torch gets his money's worth rant on Peter. But Peter doesn't want to hear any of it. Guys, what did Peter do? What did Peter do? We just don't know.
He doesn't want to appear in another slot book. That's what he did.
No slot, no.
No.
So now we shift to Randy asking Tombstone for his daughter's hand in marriage. Tombstone admits that whether he agrees or not, Janice is going to do whatever she wants. So instead, he uses his time to tell Randy embarrassing stories about his father, Robbie Robertson. Seeing that everything is clear, Peter is about to return home when he is the only person in a crowded sidewalk to notice a costume villain just standing there, White Rabbit, and some goons hop into a car.
It is the Marvel universe. I mean,
yeah, still, you see a Green Goblin walking around asking for money, you start asking questions to yourself.
Yeah, no, they'd be cosplaying, you know.
Yeah, you see Norman with the little cup on the side of the street, like.
Quickly, he changes into Spider-Man and follows them to where this deal is about to go down. Seems there's to be a fire sale on Goblin gliders these days, and Spider-Man ruins the fun for buyers such as JR. Digger attacks only to be warned by Spider-Man not to wear himself out or he's going to melt away again. The deal is now ruined and the boys in blue show up while Spidey swings away after webbing up White Rabbit. Exhausted, Peter crawls through the apartment window, hoping to at least get one win for the day. His phone alerts him that Mary Jane is calling him. Excited, he answers the phone, to which MJ responds, "Yo, brand new day 2.0. I didn't like you the first time. Stop calling me.
Don't call me again."
Hangs up the phone.
That's Mary Jane. That sounds like her, right?
Yeah,
right, Peter?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not. Tombstone informs Hammerhead that it's not his problem that Spider-Man interfered with the deal. Digger doesn't share that sentiment, makes it personal, and blows up Tombstone's home. The next day, Peter is walking the streets with a bunch of priorities, things that he needs to get done, but procrastinates on mostly, everything, and ends up outside MJ's apartment. Tombstone pulls up in a limo and invites Peter in. Stupid is what stupid does, gets inside the limo, and Tombstone wants Peter to deliver a message to Spider-Man. A war is going to break out between the Rose and Tombstone, and the fault will be directed at Spider-Man. Peter agrees to deliver the message and laughs in Tombstone's face. Not something I would do to a mob boss, but hey, I digress. MJ watches from her apartment as Peter gets out of the limo and walks down the street in the rain. Then, boys and girls, the unthinkable happens. I swear I'm not making this up. The unthinkable. Brad, are you ready to hear this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
JR, are you ready to hear this?
Hold on to your butts. Here it comes.
I am on pins and needles awaiting.
Ryan, are you ready to hear this?
I am ready.
Let's get ready.
Mark, we don't care what you think. All right, boys and girls, I swear I'm not making this up. This is what happens. Not taking it anymore, MJ runs out of her apartment to chase down Peter. They meet and embrace each other and kiss passionately in the downpour.
Hold on.
Peter finally gets to his senses, drops to one knee, and proposes to Mary Jane. She responds, "Yes, of course, you silly, stupid man.
Hey, Mark,
I love you with all my heart and soul."
He's pulling a JR. He's making crap
I
up.
told you not to let him do the recap. I told you.
He's making crap up.
Wouldn't that be nice if that happened, Crawlspacers? Just wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be exactly what would it be like? Yeah.
Yeah, even Hornacek, he was like, Brad, tell Chi-Town quit making shit up. All right.
Hornacek, I was expecting you to go, I want whatever Chi-Town's drinking. All right.
Mountain Dew is all around.
All right. Unfortunately.
All right. Here, let me get this still image back. Okay. Okay. Right. Let's see what happens.
Unfortunately, we did not get that Crawlspacers. It would have been nice if it didn't happen, but instead we got this lame scene where MJ is watching from her apartment to be suddenly interrupted by some guy named Paul.
What's up, Paul?
Who asks if she's ready. Then completely out of freaking nowhere, two kids that look like miniature versions of Peter and Mary Jane run into the room and embrace Mary Jane because she is, wait for it, their mother. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Kiddos.
The issue ends with Doc Ock being held prisoner by an unknown man claiming to want all the secrets that Otto has locked in his brain on ways to destroy Spider-Man. But
Here,
wait, folks.
I can pull that. There we go.
We're not done.
Who do we think that guy is?
I'm thinking the Chameleon.
I'm thinking Marvin the Martian.
Okay. DC, Warner Brothers, not really convinced. But Brad, we all have dreams.
I understand.
But wait, folks, we're not done.
We're not. We got to get to the letters pages. Mark, this is why I had him do it.
Nick Lowe decides to address the fans in the letter section. He goes on his usual splurge fest about the creative team behind the storyline. He does address the loyal fans as well, starting with some of them that may not even like this issue.
Like?
Including, and I quote, a particular Chicagoan. That's right, folks. I have done something that no other Spider fan has done.
True.
I have made it into the letter section without even sending in the letter. Mark has tried this many times and has failed. I am living rent-free in Lick Lowe's mind. By my count,
Nick Lowe. I thought you said Lick Lowe.
Nick Lowe. Not Lick Lowe.
He's a Michelob right now. Yeah.
A Michelob. Michelob? What?
I am living rent-free in Nick Lowe's mind with a Michelob in my
You need a Michelob.
By my count, that's number 8 so far, and I'm sure the legacy.
You made the letters pages, man.
Yeah,
all the way to 8.
And I'm sure the legacy of the Chi-Town Spidey will continue. Mark my words.
It's an honor to be sharing the same screen with you, Chi-Town.
Great.
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to
you forgot
clear here.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who live in Chicago, and Chi-Town is really in the suburbs. So I'm not quite sure that they were actually talking about him. They didn't say like a certain suburban Chicagoan or whatever. They
in
were
the Chicago right area who is
hey, Spider-Man, he was in Queens and he goes to New York all the time. I live in the suburbs. I go to Chicago all the time. What's the difference?
I mean,
Mark,
nothing. There's no difference.
Said a Chicagoan.
There's no difference. There's no difference.
Hold on, we're talking over each other. Hold on, we're talking. I can't hear anybody. What, Mark?
I'm just saying, there is no proof that this is really talking about Chi-Town. I just think his ego is just so big and so massive, and he just needs this constant. I mean, and I say this out of love because he's my best friend. But oh my gosh, his ego,
Let me tell you about my best friend.
Oh boy.
How
Ryan,
are those sour grapes tasting, by the way? So.
Ryan, go ahead. What were you saying?
I was saying, as a guy who lives kind of west of him, I can agree that his ability to go to Chicago actually fits in that premise.
Well,
of
I could go to Chicago. Doesn't make me a Chicagonian. I mean,
Mark, if you go to Chicago, it doesn't matter. You're still not going to make the letter section.
Oh my god! Wow. We have. Hold on. The chat is blowing up. Hornacek says, if you Google famous Chicagoans, Chi-Town does not appear in the list. Obviously, Nick Lowe was talking about Michelle Obama or Kanye West.
Yep.
Hornacek, you have failed me.
Soflo says they're not Peter's kids, they're Tony Stark's kids.
Stop.
No.
The Cyber Weasel says Marvel editorial is triggering MJ fans again. Hope it's a fake out. Duh. Soflo is just giving his condolences, Chi-Town.
Thank you.
Gary in the Frozen says it looks like the leader.
Could be.
Paul has a soul patch. He's obviously a villain. And this comment I just like. Brad, tell Chi-Town to quit making shit up.
I'm learning from JR. I'm sorry.
Oh, wait a minute.
I'm learning from JR.
Now, I noticed in your recap, before we give it the grade, you did not mention one particular page that was in there.
Oh, what was that?
The one you probably don't remember because you blocked it out from your memory like One More Day, which is the cover to issue number 2, which
Well,
is
that's all Mark. That's all Mark. That's all Mark. Mark's
will-
going to cover that when you do the podcast. I'll come on the podcast, but Mark's going to do a recap of that one
of Amazing Spider-Man number 2, where you have Mary Jane walking away.
In
She's
the
upset
rain.
her jeans
See,
are ripped.
she was in the rain,
jeans.
just like I said, where she ran out and kissed. Maybe we saw after she hugged the kids. Maybe she ran out and Peter proposed and everything, like in the rain. Yeah.
The most unbelievable part of this issue is that those mobsters recognize Digger and they know who he is. Says Hornacek. Let's see. Let's go around the horn for grades. Chi-Town. I want to hear this.
I gave it a D because
Oh.
I don't give a thwip about it.
Give a thwip. Dark Mark, what would you give it? We have a D on the table, sir.
I was going to say B+, but the sheer amount of triggering that Chi-Town went
Here
through
we
because
go.
of letter pages, I'm gonna bump this sucker up to an A-.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
See, I like to balance the show. I do. I love it when the show is balanced.
Yeah, I
we
actually
have
seem
one-
like the level-headed one now.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, JR, how's it feel to be in the middle there?
Wow.
Ryan, we have a D. Was
I
it a D
had
minus
a-
or a D?
I had a C.
Ryan's
There we
got a
go.
C. We got all the letters now. We got A, C, D. We need a B and we need an F. JR, what are you going to give us? Is this
I'm going to give you a
password?
C minus.
There
Give
we
a
go.
C minus.
I'm surprised Chi-Town didn't give it an F. I thought he was
Well,
would be personally offended by this.
I'll get
issue.
to it. I'll
We'll
get
get
to
to the
it. Pros
pros
and
and
cons.
cons.
Okay.
By the way, chat, if you would like to start listing pros in the comments, I will put those up as they come in. So we have a C, we have a C, we have a D, we have an A, and I'm giving it an A minus. I'm on Dark Mark's side. So the
Of
show
course.
is still balanced. Me and Mark are positive over here. This whole side is just a little unbalanced over on the right.
Well, then you're not balancing the show. You should put like one of us next to you. And
I need one. Oh, okay. Hold on. Hold on.
Oh my
There?
God.
No, it's no. You get to hang out with your friend down there. Okay. Here we go. Chat is chiming in. We got an A minus out of Mr. Comics. We've got Gary agreeing with Ryan, giving it a C. Beautiful Vosh, F minus. Ooh,
There we
lower than
go.
Chi-Town.
Oh, there we go. Now we're balanced.
Ooh,
Ooh.
Lord. Okay.
Oh,
All right.
not that harsh.
Chi-Town. Time
Really
for
personally offended.
the
Yeah, I'll give it
pros.
an F minus.
Time for the pros.
Time for the pros. What'd you like?
Spider-Man has always been to me a street level superhero. So the gang war that's coming up,
Yeah.
that does interest me very much,
Same.
and I hope we'll hope to see much more of that. I think we mentioned it here on the podcast before that we were hoping that Randy and Janice would be engaged, and just the comedy gold and shenanigans that would happen during that wedding of bad villains. That falls right into Mark's category, right there.
Bad villains.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean the whole syndicate. Is that what they're called?
The
Mhm.
Sinister Syndicate. Yeah.
Yeah. If they're like the whole bridesmaids, and then you got Robinson and
I'm down for
Tombstone
that,
as,
man.
as walking Janice down the aisle, and there's Robbie and there's Tombstone, Mob's there, and Spidey's like stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
That looks
That
very
would-
See
much
Darren
like-
Zemo from far away saying, "Yes, this is hot."
I
Does
mean,
that not seem like an issue 900 to you? That sounds like it's a wedding.
it might be.
Yeah,
Might
that
be.
sounds
No,
pretty
I'd
good.
rather
makes
have an
sense.
issue of the Sinister Six melded into a super adaptoid. I'd
Well,
rather.
there you go. Yeah.
So
Why
what
not
do we have?
both?
We had the gang war was the street level stuff is a pro. Anything else? Chi-Town wants to
The
discuss?
art. John Romita
Oh,
Jr. is
yeah,
back.
man.
You know, he's not personally my favorite, but he's still a favorite,
Same.
and it's good to see him back in the drawing board.
Yeah, I
Literally.
think his art looks stronger than when he left Marvel. I thought he was looking not the best I've seen on the Captain America title and also the Avengers title. I think this with a good inker is really bringing his talents out, which he's in my top 5 of all time Spider-Man artists, in my opinion.
And Zeb Wells doing some writing. There's many things that I don't like, but he and in certain panels he chimes through. He does a really good job.
This is my favorite Zeb Wells written book of all time. The other ones, I'm personally offended, as JR likes to say. I hate Shed.
Yeah, me too.
I can't stand that. What was it in a letters page? Mr. Lowe said that's one of the reasons he got hired.
Yeah.
I'm so disconnected from that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't get it.
Well, Niccolo does have a job. He does have to,
Everybody's
hype up
got their own
issue.
opinions. I am so far from that opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to relate. Any other pros? Should I open it up? Chi-Town to anything else?
Nope,
Okay.
that's it. That's all.
Mark, what did you like about it? You had the highest grade with me, man.
Aside from that awesome letters page, well, I mean, you had the gang war. I mean, that's an obvious big right there. I am so ready for another gang war. But I love White Rabbit being the muscle for Tombstone. I mean, that's right up my alley right there, that kind of stuff. And it works in this scenario. It's not just a silly thing. It's a silly thing that works. And I know a lot of people were upset with Peter's voice. And I'm talking about in the comic book, not just on the podcast. But Peter's voice in the comic Peter's voice in the comic was he was angry.
Yes.
He was abrupt. He was really like rude to the people that love him.
Wow.
And
who are you talking about, Peter or me?
Yeah, I'm talking about Peter Parker this time.
Okay.
But yeah, I like that because it felt to me like when Peter David was writing Spectacular Spider-Man and Peter was just a hothead, things weren't going his way. He was taking it out on everybody around him. Whatever happened in that 6 months is going to be key to whether this actually stays, an A- from me or not. I mean, it's all built up on this whole, premise here. And I love the fact that everybody's he's on the outs with everybody. I hope that however this is resolved and he gets his inner circle taken care of, I hope he's still on the outs with the Fantastic Four. And I hope that bleeds over to Avengers and everybody else. I mean, I like it when Spider-Man is not enjoyed by everybody else in the Marvel universe.
I agree 100% on that. Ryan, you got some pros?
I had to definitely go with the gang war. I really did actually. That was some of my favorite parts. It was the way it was actually how they were meeting, how we talking, seeing some of the classic ones like Black Dahlia was there. I loved the Rose when he brought Digger and Digger goes, there was a green door. He's like, shut up about the green door, which was actually somebody had actually asked Al Ewing on Twitter a couple years ago saying, hey, since the rest of the Gamma characters, what about Digger? And Al had said, like, I can't really say anything about Digger at this point in time. He's like, I love the character, but he doesn't fit in my story. And then it was actually made sense for him, especially when they were doing the battle and his fingers break off. He's like, I don't have the fingers anymore. Don't worry, you'll get over it. Which kind of leaves me. The jokes from Spider-Man were actually natural. I didn't feel like they were forced. I didn't feel that's one thing I did, and I said this in my review too. I really like that Zeb actually got those jokes that actually made sense, and they worked really well with his jokes with it, as well as when he was battling White Rabbit and the rest of the gang members. But the jokes were good. Also, the scene between Randy and Tombstone, I actually like that in a way. That's actually, I've been with my wife for almost 13 years, but originally when I was gonna ask to marry, that was my thought process. That was gonna be our conversation. So I kind of popped it in there too. So but it felt more natural, and I kind of liked all that because, as everybody says, including George, this is something we've actually wanted to happen, and it actually felt more natural that it was happening. That Randy's like, I'm going to ask her. I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to ask it. And, Tombstone's like, well, back in my day, we didn't ask for permission. We just took it. But you know what? She's going to do what she was. Let me tell you this story about your dad. Come on. I really like that scene. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. JR, some pros out of you?
Like a lot, actually, it's going to sound similar to everybody else's, which makes me wonder if we're all saying we like the same pros, then what does that say about the rest of the issue? If we all have the same pros, with Spider-Man supporting cast has things to do and has stories about them that run in the background to the main story. That's always when Spider-Man is working at its best, when the supporting characters are given a life of their own. To be honest, I think most of us guys who've been married Always have that thing with, even more so than a way than with your own father. Your father-in-law is a guy you really want to stay on the good side of.
Mhm.
You just, I mean, sometimes you and your old man may have a few words or whatever, but that's family. But yeah, you really want to stay on the father-in-law side. My father-in-law's been gone a long time, but I remember he was a good guy. But I just remember it was like I always wanted to make sure he was happy.
Yeah.
That's and this just has like Peter was talking about earlier about this has the wedding has a potential to just be a gonzo, fun thing
Exactly.
to read. I mean, it just again, that's Spider-Man. I mean, his world should be a little wacky.
Yep.
So there's just a lot of potential there. And I do like. I think the gang war thing is a bit overdone, but. I like the I like the fact that Tombstone is now in charge. I think Kingpin was a little played out because he kept
Mhm.
showing up all the time and everywhere, and just
He's
there
more of a
was,
Marvel Universe villain now.
yeah, there
After
was
Devil's
just
Reign too.
yeah, and there was just like I said, it's like Kingpin doesn't remember Spider-Man just cleaning his clock. It's like,
Yeah.
but with Tombstone, Hammerhead, Mr. Day, I just get this Dick Tracy vibe, and I just think that's
Mhm.
cool. Because Dick
Yeah.
Tracy had all these grotesque looking villains,
Yeah.
and I think Batman was the Batman was a little inspired by that because a lot of his villains have been like very grotesque inside and outside. So I thought, yeah, this just. This kind of gives off a good grotesque, Dick Tracy villain vibe.
Okay.
So I like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
So
Pros out of me, I want to read the next issue. In past, I've been doing this show for years. JR, all of us have been doing this show for a long time. We've dreaded reading the next issue. I am anxious to see what happens next. So that is a big pro out of me. I want to find out what the heck did Peter do? Who in the heck are these kids? I like both of those mysteries. I'm intrigued. If it's stretched out like Nick Spencer's stuff a little bit, I'm not intrigued. But I like the first chapter, if you will. I thought the first chapter grabbed me. And John Romita Jr., like I said, I love the art. It's give me a classic Spider-Man vibe. I'm going to read some pros out of the chat. Sofalo said the solid story. Cyber Weasel agrees with me about John Romita Jr. and Scott Hanna. Gary and the Frozen, also John Romita Jr. all day. Mr. Comics says the pro is Tombstone and Randy and Spider-Man's humor. Yes, Spider-Man's humor was great. I liked Peter being cocky in the back of that car with Tombstone. That just shows you just a little bit of Peter. He isn't being timid. He's kind of like, what do you want to tell Spider-Man? Why don't you go ahead and tell him? Come on, big boy. I thought that was great. Pro for me, John Romita Jr. may not be my favorite, but there's something comforting about seeing him back on the book, says Eric. Very good. Jim on Facebook says, I like Tombstone, the Gangland Wars always have, but I hate Mary Jane with kids.
Hey, Brett, can I talk about that previous comment?
Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
JR Sr., to me, that's Spider-Man's artist right there. I mean, Ditko, great for coming what he did, but without Romita's take on it, I mean, that's whatever I think of Spider-Man is all those things growing up with his cover. And I like the idea that JR Jr. is coming on, not because I like his artwork. I really don't, but I like his dad's. And I guess as a dad myself, I want to support his son, So that might be where he feels like there's something. He says it's not his favorite, but he feels that it's comforting. I think we have that connection. It's like having a little bit of Senior in there.
Well, the first time I ever noticed an artist's name was John Romita Jr. I was reading the Hobgoblin story, the mystery in the 80s with Roger Stern, and I'm like, I dig this guy's art. I remember Spider-Man throwing Mary Jane in a pool wearing an animal shirt. I'm like, wow, this redhead's cute. And Spider-Man's awesome. And who is this Hobgoblin figure? And I think the art is so cool. And the ripping of the Spider-Man suit on the cover with the Hobgoblin. John Romita Jr., man, I like the classic Romita stuff, but Romita Jr. for me is my entryway into Spider-Man all those years ago.
Yeah, to go off Mark's point, you know, he's been wrong on so many levels, but in this case, he is right. He is absolutely correct. I mean, JR has always been a fan favorite of mine, but he's not absolutely my favorite. But his compared to his dad, his artwork is just a little blocky for me. It's like, what's those like video games where they're all blocks and like 8-bit?
Minecraft.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Minecraft. So
Yeah.
I can see a little bit of that, but I'm not taking away from the story or the art.
B Rich, my friend from Kansas City, says, "Pro, I didn't buy the issue." Mr. Comics says, JR belongs at Marvel. Superman, when he did him, looks like a really dumb caveman.
Yeah.
I did not like his
I did not-
Superman.
I
It was
did not like
really
it.
bad.
Yeah. Cyber Weasel says, you should show the unused page Scott Hanna posted on his Facebook. Great look at line art. I haven't seen that, Cyber Weasel.
I saw it briefly, and it looked
Yeah.
pretty nice.
SoFlo says a pro is a surprise ending. Yes, that was a very surprise ending. The Mary Jane with kids was a bigger surprise ending than the Doc Ock upside down. I'm like, oh, this again. Beautiful Vosh says, I have a feeling that the glowing figure at the end of issue 93, volume 5, has something to do with what happened between Peter and Mary Jane. Any guesses what that is, guys? Who's the floating guy? Is it the Beyonder?
No.
White Master, wasn't it?
No,
It's the Will-O-Wisp. Is that what you
Yeah.
said? The Will-O-Wisp.
come with me, oh
Hey,
Pita.
we had one guy on the front page. Oh, I can't think of the name at the moment. So whoever it is, I'm very, very sorry. I forgot your name. But he pointed out that maybe the person who was the cause, who the blood trail led to, was not Peter,
Yeah, it was
but Mary Jane.
Mm.
And so that would explain why Peter goes to extremes. What would he do to protect Mary Jane? At what cost? Even if it meant destroying their relationship, or at least
Well, deal
for a
with the devil's pretty
temporary
good.
moment there, Chi-Town. Don't get too upset.
If
But yeah,
it
what would
turns out
Peter
to-
do to protect her? It might be that. I thought I liked that idea. I thought that was to be a nice little twist.
If that ever happened, the glowing figure would probably be like Deborah Whitman or something like that. Trying to go after.
Eric says there's a pro of enough interest to let me keep checking in on issue number 2. Matt Bird says most of the internet for all said and purposes agrees with Chi-Town of disliking this issue. As for me, I will go with an E as my grade. Ooh, that's low, Matt.
Harsher than I am. Wow.
That is low. Beautiful Vosh says the stuff between Robbie and Tombstone was nice. Everything else I didn't care for, says Beautiful Vosh. Hornacek said
I think
the
that
pro is the
other
return
other comment was another account by Chi-Town there. I saw him type in a minute ago.
I didn't type.
The return of Peter's supporting cast is a pro, says Hornacek. I agree. Let's see. He also says it seems like Zeb could be aping JMS's run on Spider-Man with the return of Digger, John Romita Jr., and Peter and MJ's relationship in the gutter again. Matt wants to know if Ryan's father-in-law is a crime lord.
Well, he did work for the government.
Sounds like a criminal to me. All right. Just
Wow.
kidding. I apologize to Ryan's father-in-law. Let's see. Mr. Comics wants a Janice Randy wedding cover like the Spider-Man suit from Peter and Mary Jane, just both sides fighting each other. I think that'd be a fun ASM 21 homage. Eric says that'd be brilliant. Would love to see a wedding cover with Janice and Randy. Sophila says this was a grounded issue. Love Jim says he would love to see the Hobgoblin in this war, which has been rumored that the Hobgoblin is returning, which is nice. Chris is not a fan of JR. Oh, JR. Okay, I'm sorry, JR.
Aren't we all?
You're not a fan of JR, okay?
Aren't we
yeah.
all? I love you, Jerry.
The Cyber Weasel says John Romita Jr. has done tons of Spidey issues. When he does an arc, it's like seeing an old friend. Yes.
Yeah, I want to just add to that because it was kind of goes back to what Dark Mark was saying earlier, whatever, although without the whole family angle. But I just remember, like, for example, after Brand New Day started, of course, we all were just retching at it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when New Ways to Die came, and that was Rita Jr., that's the first one that felt like a Spider-Man story because of the art. The rest of them, you didn't even feel like you were reading a Spider-Man story because they were so bad. But in this one, when he did the art, I said, okay, well, this looks like a real Spider-Man story.
It does. Venkman says, of course I think of Secret Wars. Dude, I'm always thinking of Secret Wars. Right here, always.
And that's one reason my respect for you will only reach a modest level because I
He doesn't like Secret Wars.
God, I haven't
What-
made up my mind whether or not to go see Jim Shooter tomorrow and take my son's Secret
He's a
Wars
nice
trade.
dude. I interviewed him. He's a really
Very
nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Be-
sure he is, but Spencer's
I,
not in town. It's like, man, I really kind of wanted to go with him, but oh well, that's the way it goes. So.
Be Rich, I tend to disagree with this. Everyone loves JR.
Of
He
course.
does have his non-supporters.
Yep, they've made themselves known over the
Yep.
years.
Who's
but
on the
anyway.
list? Go ahead.
Exactly.
You can name it without even looking at the list. Can't you?
Well, those are
Tyson?
people on my list. I mean,
I'm
I
sure
was
they
gonna
don't
say,
like
if you're
you.
going to talk about non-supporters, my wife has been my biggest enemy over the years. But yeah. Who's on my list?
Tyson?
Tyson, of course, is on my list.
Yeah.
Peter Palmer, 13. Mike Murdoch was on there. Here we go. I've got my list right here. Yeah,
Okay.
Tyson, Peter Palmer, 13, Mike Murdoch, and Adam Winchell. So,
All right. If you would
that-
like to be added to the list, feel free. Just insult him.
yeah, it is a list. There is a list.
Oh.
This is my list. And these guys are on it. And I've noticed Peter Palmer. I haven't seen him for a while.
He scared him out of town.
Mhm.
I don't know if this is the true one, but Joe Casada says, "Hi, Chi-Town."
Hi, Dark Mark. How you doing? I know that's you. Very nice.
If it is
Joe
Joe
Quesada, don't wanna
Quesada,
waste time with me.
Welcome to the show. Josh Nelson has a question. He says, "Tombstone is Spider-Man's most underrated rogue." Anyone else agree? I like him. I like him a lot.
I like him.
Jerry
I've always
Conway,
liked the
Alex
character.
Savick creation. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I've always liked the character. In fact, he was actually one of my first action figures I had bought back when they had the preview upon post Secret Wars. They had a couple of the Gang War characters and like limited edition. And he was one of my first. So I said, my mom even said, like, "Why do you want him?" Like, he looks cool. She was like, "He looks like a zombie who had his face ripped off." I'm like, that's why he's cool, Mom.
Yeah, he's cool. No doubt.
It is cool though. I mean, I always had mixed feelings about him because like I said, I've always said there is
The Robbie thing.
the relationship between him and Robbie. For some reason, Jerry Conway put a little weird factor in it. But
Yeah.
on the cartoon when he was voiced by Keith David,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Spec
that
Spec
was-
Spidey. It was great.
that was like, wow, okay, that just really gave the character a distinctive voice. It's like if they ever bring back Tombstone, it's got to be voiced by Keith David.
Why haven't we seen a live action Tombstone? Come on. That'd be great. That'd be great to have a live action. B Rich is bragging that he's not on JR's list. If you
Nope,
would like
not
to.
yet. Not yet. Be a good boy and stay off of it. So.
Mr. Comics wants to know where I am on your list, JR.
Well, see, here's the thing, Mr. Comics. And this is something
It's story
that,
time with JR.
Yeah, this is something that Donovan forgot many years ago when he insulted Brad. He said, he didn't lie. He said, he wrote on the bulletin board that sometimes Brad just makes no sense. And I told Donovan,
I
I
love
said,
Donovan.
Donovan, shush. I said, don't you realize what this is all about? We don't talk about Brad because we want to keep him paying for the show.
Oh,
It's like, and now you've ruined all of our carefully crafted plans.
well, there you go.
So, Brad pays the bills. So, he gets that modicum of respect.
There you go.
I love Brad.
Thank you. I'm married, but I love you too. We're all married, actually. Let's see. Always
And
preferred
that's why we
Hammerhead.
look much
says-
older than we really are. So
Michael says he prefers Hammerhead. Maybe they can bring in Hitman or Stegrin. Who's Stegrin? Don't tell George. There's no such thing as Stegron. It's Stegron. Stegrin. It's Stegron.
very good.
Somebody made a sin.
And welcome,
Jim, you would have been on George's list if he were here.
Oh,
He would have put you on the list.
And that's
George
a big
Or
list.
Stegron is the imaginary twin that Stegron has, kind of like Mike Murdoch.
Except his tail is
Stegron
not
is
invincible.
and we want to welcome Brian Michael Bendis watching the show.
Mark, what are you doing? Mark, what are you doing?
Man, I don't have the energy to be making up new stuff, right?
I tell you what, welcome. This is better than the sex bots. I'll tell you right now. The sex bots just spam the heck out of me one night. Well, that sounds bad.
Does your wife know?
No,
I know mine doesn't.
She made me put
All right,
on a
let's-
spam filter. No.
Let's get back on track.
All right.
Rating.
It is now time for the cons of this issue. And since Chi-Town is recapping it and he gave it a D, let's hear your cons.
We have to wait. We have to find out what the 6 months is before,
Yeah.
and I just don't want to wait that long to find out what happened. We're now in the future. Is the rest of the Marvel books that we're reading, are they in the future 6 months from now or not? So we don't know why Peter's upset. We don't know why his mom, his aunt May, is really mad at him. We don't know what's going on with Mary Jane.
Mhm.
There's 2 kids that look like Peter and Mary Jane. Who's this Paul character? I don't
Let's
know.
take
Don't
a look
care.
at Paul.
No,
Who
it's
do
not.
you think that is?
Yeah.
Who is that? Who do you think that is? My guess, Mysterio.
Many thoughts have been going on that it might be Mysterio. Yes.
Yeah.
That she's protecting Mary Jane.
The one that
because
makes
of
sense
Paul.
to me.
Yeah.
Because you can poof those kids out and you don't have to pay child support. Poof. They're just Mysterio solutions.
That's true.
And Mark, who is that guy?
I think it's Mysterio.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think whatever happened, Mysterio is trying to protect Mary Jane. And that's why when Peter calls her, she says, you can't do this. We can't talk.
Yeah.
I think that's all this is going to be. It's a bait and switch.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Josh, thank you for the super chat. He came late to the show. He wants to hear the grades again. I got an A-. Mark's got an A-. JR,
C-.
C?
C-.
C-. Ryan, what was yours again?
That was a C.
Straight C. And Peter gave it a D-, I think.
D, just a regular D.
Just a
not
D. There you go, Josh.
So it does pass with the pros that I made. And the other con that I have,
Yeah.
besides just waiting for the 6 months and the Peter and the Mary Jane, is that when Spencer came out, why are you putting Paul up there? Paul is a con. Paul is definitely a con.
I'm timing it with what Beautiful said right here. I just timed it with the comment. There you go.
Thank you, Bosch. So it's with Spencer's run, we saw Peter accepting responsibilities about the things that we thought were wrong during the last decade with Spider-Man.
I couldn't do it.
Stop. Yeah, I'm gonna start acting like George now. Brad, stop. Why are you doing this?
I'm sorry.
Jeez. Okay, so
Here, let's just take him out and
Because the fans demanded it.
hold on. There, we got everybody out. No one can see anybody but Paul here. You know what I'm saying? Okay, hold on.
So
All right, welcome back, Peter.
So you don't bring him back in.
He's back in. He's back in. Here, let me flip the boys down there. Okay, there you go.
I forgot my train of thought because
I know,
I'm bringing
Paul distracted you.
Yeah. So yeah,
So
it's
help me if
D.
you got kids running in there yelling "mommy" to you.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds
The
bad.
kids, we don't know about what's going on. We don't know why Peter's upset. Aunt May's furious. What we have to wait. With Nick Spencer, we didn't have to wait. We got what we wanted, and we were
Yes, we
looking forward
did.
to the next issue. All
Are
right?
you kidding me? We had
Wait.
to wait for that Harry Osborn thing for 75 damn issues.
Okay, did Peter accept the responsibilities with Superior Spider-Man? All right, and then he went back to school.
grad school.
He went
You
to
saw
back,
it like
and
in
then
2
Mary Jane
issues.
came in, and then he realized he needed MJ to do his job correctly, to be Spider-Man correctly, and just go back and read our review, and you'll see.
I know.
That
Well,
we all gave it A's. Here is a plethora of different letters.
I
for
get
this
A, B, C, D, F, U.
Ooh,
Uh,
nice job, Chi-Town.
so
You've
we
been
have a
reading my
question.
reviews. Good job.
We have a question from the viewer who also did a super chat. So I apologize. We're gonna have to do this again.
God,
Beautiful Vosh wants to know what's worse, Chi-Town, Pedro, or Paul? Who's
Chi-Town.
Pedro? Who's
She's
Pedro?
no,
Firefighter.
no,
Firefighter.
Mark. She's
Oh, the
Bosch
firefighter.
is asking who's worse, Chi-Town, comma, Pedro or Paul. Not
Yeah,
who's
Chi-Town.
worse, comma.
He just
I don't know,
missed
Josh. We do the
comma
Williams.
after Pedro.
I think they're asking to pick between 3.
Oh, I just read the comments.
Yeah.
It says Paul is actually based off Chi-Town. That would be a nightmare.
Hold on.
I would quit.
How can I make him bigger? Hold on.
Well,
Why would you want to?
But
Why are you
Chi-Town is
doing
more
this?
follically challenged than Paul here.
No,
so
no,
I
no,
don't
hold
know
on.
how-
Here we go. And then how can I put this in?
I tell you what, I
No,
think
you
this
guys-
You
beautiful
guys are
Vosh,
making Mark's day, all right?
I think beautiful really has a sharp eye for things.
Beautiful. Oh, okay. Oh,
Hey, she gave $2, so
beautiful Vosh wants to ask Chi-Town a question. Go, okay.
I meant to ask Chi-Town a question. Yeah,
Oh,
see?
yeah.
It wasn't. Am
My
I one
friend
of the
from
worst
Kansas
ones?
City is going to drive down and make me behave, so I should behave, be rich.
To answer your question, I'm going to say Pedro for right now because we don't know who this Paul
Who's
is.
Pedro?
Who she dated, the fireman.
Yeah, the
The
firefighter.
Dan Slott guy.
Who's the guy that she slept with after during Brand New Day?
That was the actor.
Yeah.
The actor.
What
Who
was
was that
his
guy's
name?
name?
Was
I don't even remember his name. He only appeared a couple of times. So.
and then Paper Doll came in.
Yeah.
And Paper Doll. Yes, yes. Also, there was a question about the kids, so I'll pop that up.
Now, does that look like miniature Peter and miniature Mary Jane?
It
based
does
off-
Mary Jane. I don't know about if that looks like
If you
Peter.
go
No, it looks
to
like
another
miniature
panel-
Paul.
You would think that. So if you go to the other panels, you see like the hairstyle is almost identical to adult Peter. I posted
That
on
one?
the Discord. No, not that one.
That one.
Right there,
Yeah,
right
that one does.
That one?
there. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. All right. That's an interesting spider symbol too.
Beautiful Vosh says Bobby Carr. That was his name. That's right. That's
Bobby
thank you.
Carr. There you
Bobby
go.
Carr, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Vinkman, for the love of Gog. Stop showing the image of Paul. The
Thank
damn
you,
image of Paul.
Pinkman. Thank you.
And here's $10 to make you stop.
If this goes the way I know it, someone's going to give $20 to show Paul again.
Maybe we'll get the
This
$1,000
is
bonus.
suddenly eBay. Who's got 20 on
And
Paul?
then there's a
Dad,
50.
come on, North Carolina paycheck. I can't.
Yes.
You're rich for me.
Right now, Mark's like, honey, get the checkbook.
Hornacek, obviously, Chi-Town sent Vinkman $10 for that.
God damn.
Okay, we have a legit question from Jim. Refresh my memory. The Rose used a hobgoblin in the 80s gang war, correct? Have him go head to head to Norman, who armors Spider-Man. Help us out with the history.
Yes, the Rose and Hobgoblin.
Yeah,
were
that's
a team.
correct. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
that is
yeah.
right.
Yeah, but it was the Ned Leeds Hobgoblin that Kingsley had
Right.
brainwashed. Well, I guess at some time it was. Maybe they switched at some time, but for a period of time it was the Ned Leeds Hobgoblin.
Hornacek
They
says
had that
little
great
girl-
panel with
go ahead.
Jack-o'-lantern and Hobgoblin on opposite sides of the gang war, and they were trying to work together. And at one point, Jack-o'-lantern realizes he's just outclassed by this guy, that he's not ready,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's crazy."
Funny. Hornacek says that little girl looks like Christy, Mary Jane's cousin from the 90s, who
I think we just forgot about Christy. I think,
I kind of thought about that too when I saw it, but
but she's
Yeah.
way too young to be Christy. She's got to be older now.
Mr. Comics would buy that as Peter's son. Cyber Weasel says no one's paying $20 to see Paul again.
No one is.
And Mr. Comics says I'd pay $50 to leave Paul up for Chi-Town. I had it. Sophila says those Stark kids sure are cute. Oh. Let's see. Eric says Hornacek, but for it to take pages in comic book is just hilarious. JR still got some money for that, right? What if Paul ends up being a really good character? Maybe he'll end up being a better partner for Mary Jane than
And
Peter.
Joshua, you are on my list. Thank you. I'm going to
Oh,
write that
he
down right now.
just started a
Joshua
list.
Nelson is now
There you go.
on my list.
You do this show enough, you get a list of people.
Joshua Nelson. Wow. What a wonderful world we live to.
Oh, you're on Ryan's
Man.
list. Wow, congrats.
Good job, Josh.
Joshua.
you know, and I threw my
Nelson.
list away 2 years ago.
Oh my god.
No,
Here's a
so
question.
there we go.
Is there any doubt that Paul is a villain? Is there any doubt?
We don't know.
There's
we
no
don't.
he's got to be a villain. Mark, you think he's a villain?
If it triggers me,
I think
yes.
he's
Yeah, I
Mysterio,
mean,
but
yeah.
Does Mysterio still count as a villain at this point if he's helping
Yes.
out Mary?
Yeah.
I think Paul's intentions are good.
Oh, here's a good one. Hornacek says, "We've already had robot parents. Could these be robot children?"
Maybe.
Well, we do have the chameleon storyline still out
And
there.
Mysterio's there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, what is that chameleon storyline? Like, there's little sleepers or something like that.
Yeah,
so
little
crazy.
sleeper chameleons. Yeah.
So chameleon could be behind this.
Yeah, Teresa
Mary
Parker's
Jane just
a-
needs a lamppost to kick chameleon's butt again.
Wow. Okay.
A
A bat, baseball bat.
The bat.
It was a baseball bat.
Jim says, if Paul winds up with Mary Jane, that would officially make me leave Spider-Man.
Me too.
DeFalco used Christie for Spider-Girl and ASM for almost 30 years. So anyway, all right. So we got what do we got, Chi-Town, for cons? I feel like I went to the chat before we did a lot of cons.
You did, but we did this. I didn't like the 6 months thing. I didn't like waiting. Like we now have to find out what's going on with Peter, with Mary Jane, with Aunt May. But they just kind of, they are in character, but they could be in character. We just don't know it. And like, Mary Jane saying, "Don't call me." Like, is she mad, or she's like, Peter, no, you can't call me. Remember our deal, or something like that. We just don't know, and that just really irritates me. I am both excited and worried about the next issue.
Yeah.
Whereas Spencer one, I was excited for number 2.
Right. Other cons, what do we got? Ryan, what's some cons out of you, buddy?
Well, I said this too, is like, we have the outs with Spider-Man, with, apparently not only the Fantastic Four, but other superheroes. And I said, we've been here. We've been to the retrend of Spider-Man's on the outs. Yes, we get the loner status. We get this too. But I think of an interview years ago, and JR, I'm going to bring up one of your favorite storylines. Remember the death of Joey Z here. So let's go back in time to Ralph Macchio, not the Karate Kid, the editor. And saying, I've always preferred the Out Loud Spider-Man, even when it didn't make sense. I just felt it made more sense that people were against Spider-Man and he just still did his job. And I'm like, that's not how that works. And yet here we are again, too. And of course, unfortunately, even though it's as it says 6 months later, we're still waiting. As we can see, Johnny is still on fire from Dan Slott's storyline. So he hasn't done too. I did like the characterization when he said, "Hey, a friend," and Johnny goes, "What do you think I'm doing?" I said, "There we go." That was at least Johnny Storm's reaction. That made sense. We've been here. We've been this. Oh, here's a reason why we can't have Peter and Mary Jane together. Yeah, Mark, you bring up a good point. Maybe there is something that Peter did that did it, but I'm with our Chi-Town here. 6 months. Come on, let's not drag this out. I know it's 900 is only a couple months away. I know we're not going to get that, but yeah. And then like
that
I said,
was the other con. That was the other con.
I'm just like no. There's story building. There's this. And it's just like, we've been here. We've been here. We've been here. The Black 6 months later. It's like, what happened? I don't know, but I'm tired of this. And I've seen that from a lot of books.
But has it not made you want to read more and find out what the mystery is? It did me.
Some of it did. It's just at the same time it's once again Peter and Spider-Man did something that put them on the outs with everybody. We've been here before, and sometimes it's made sense, and other times it's like, well, great, where are we? Is this too? So
Right.
Well, here's the thing, Brad. Think about it this way: if are we excited or interested to see what happens next? Yes.
Yeah.
But now we live in an age of internet where you can just go on the reviews the day of, read it. Is this worth your money? That's the real question.
Yes, that's the thing.
You ask yourself.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, another thing too is, and I was going to bring this up when I started doing cons, but I'll go ahead and bring it up now. We're jaded because we don't think we're going to get a satisfactory payoff. I mean,
yes,
for example, the issue the thing with like the Mary Jane, that didn't bother me at all because that is such a classic soap opera cliffhanger. It's like you open the door and, oh my God, this person who's been dead is just standing there, and then of course it goes to the credits. Blah blah. Yeah. So to me, this was a classic soap opera, but. But I can see why Chi-Town would be pissed because obviously his volatile temper, but there's no guarantee that the resolution, whatever it is, will be in character, will make sense, will be logical, or will be well executed. So that's You know, I mean, like I always said, we're not, like I said, when we talked about the end of the Spencer run, you know, we're not guaranteed the ending we want. You know, we're not, but we should be guaranteed a story that makes sense. So I think that's part of it is that we just don't, and going back to Ryan's issue about being tired of some things. This kind of gave me the feeling of the beginning of JMS's run, because it's like, it's like, I'm tired of we just got, it's kind of like in the JMS era came off the Burn Mackey era. And this is coming off that that catastrophe of Spencer's run. And it's like, God,
the unstuck landing. Yes.
We're going into another mystery where it's going to drag on. No, I just kind of want to see a couple of stories, you know, like, you know, the Doc Ock thing with whoever it is, which seems to me he looks like the leader, but I don't know if he's a leader or not. You know, that's kind of fine. Okay, let's have a little mystery in the background, but let's not have the main story again be another thing that drags. And that was kind of the thing. You know, it's just, again, just there's no way how this, you know, I mean, you know, again, like the Spencer thing, he set up all these things and then it came crashing down, which may or may not be his fault, because whether or not he even wrote those issues. The thing that really, though, is ticking me off, and it's ticking me off constantly, and it gets worse. And I'm not sure if it's just me, but the scenes with Aunt May just made me very, very ill, because
you've said for years she should know that should never have gone away. And I when I read that, I thought of you, JR.
Well, thank you.
I did.
But see, here's the thing: they always talk about Peter being a man of responsibility. You know, but part of being responsible is telling the people, being honest with the people you love, that your actions are impacting them. And it's clearly Peters has done something that has negatively impacted May, her living standard, or wherever. Just he's done something that has definitely impacted her, and he can't summon up the balls to explain to her, you know. And again, it's like, doesn't he have a responsibility every so often? Oh, by the way, every 6 months, Norman Osborn's going to try to kill you. You know, I mean, you know, that's not being responsible. That's being an immature coward. You know, and it's really difficult to see our hero not man up.
JR's right. JR is 100% right. He actually said that during the #1 podcast review for Nick Spencer. Like, Peter did not man up, and it never landed. It eventually we thought that would come down the line. It should have come down the line, but it didn't. And now here we are again. Same thing, but now he's done something like, May's like, but this, what were you thinking?
What could it be? What would be so bad for her to do that?
The only thing I can think of, and you guys can keep me honest, is that she found out about One More Day. She found about the deal, what happened. Aunt May would never allow Peter to do, or Mary Jane to do something like that.
She'd be like, you should have let me die. You think that's what she was?
Well, yeah.
I think she would have,
Yeah.
I mean, she would have felt that way, but that's not why she's mad at this point. No, because if we were going to deal with One More Day, we would have dealt with it with Kindred. It was leading up to deal with it, and then they pulled the rug out from under it. Either Spencer did or Lowe did. Whatever the case, they're not going to go back to it now.
Yeah, they're not.
It's not a good story at this point. We're going to have to wait another 30 years or something and go back again or something.
So, and then this, you know,
real quick, Jared, what I thought May was referencing is not talking to her for 6 months. I think that's what she's mad about.
Well, there's more to it than that. There's more to it than that. It's like, I've stood by you as best I could these past months. It's cost me dearly. I don't mind being in a smaller place. It suits me. So, you know, she's sold her house.
Yeah, he's done something, especially when you look at the debt collector too, because he's not just talking about the hospital. He's talking about something else. And Peter even's like, you know, stay away from my aunt. So there's something else there that's been going on. And of course, most debt collectors will call you and they'll send you whatever. This guy is actually technically stalking Peter and following him and saying, oh, interesting what's going on with your aunt there. I'm like, yeah, normal debt collector technically couldn't do that. You could actually get them arrested or be like, excuse me, you cannot do that. You're going after people that have nothing to do with what I did. So,
yeah, that's one thing that really rang false with me, unless that's all kind of part of the story, kind of those things. Like, I can understand, I've always said, I can always live with, like when Spider-Man once said that the Sandman's conscience was contained in a single grain of sand, which is utterly stupid, but I've already accepted the concept that a guy can turn into sand. But when things happen, that real life things happen, and that's not how the world works. So because like I've had issues with over the years. I think all of us have had issues with hospital billing practices. And now, in my case, it's like this wasn't even my bills. I mean, they were years ago, like when we got a phone number, and it was a phone number of somebody who skipped out on a hospital bill, and they kept calling us and would not believe me when I said I wasn't this guy.
I had that happen once. My cell phone was published in Craigslist for an apartment. For a good month, my phone was blowing up. Yeah, I'd like to rent a room. Who the hell are you? And
I got called on my cell phone at work when I was working at a hospital about a guy who had debt. And I'm like, I don't know who this number is, but also it's like, I got this number transferred when I married my wife 2 years ago. I've abandoned my own number. So this number has not even existed for the last couple. I said, you got screwed.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, but typically, having dealt with some of them over the years, they have no integrity, they have no scruples, but still something seems wrong. Like Ryan said, I don't think they're allowed to stalk you. I mean, because there are laws. I mean, I don't think they can call before certain hours of the day or after certain hours at night. And I don't think they can just show up at your doorstep. So,
unless they're a super villain, that could be a perfect super villain, the debt collector. Doesn't that sound like a good villain name?
Well, it sounds like somebody who would chase a Fantastic Four for years. Wasn't Reed always broke? I mean, so. Oh, and one thing before I forget, I just want to make a comment about Romita being back. I kind of feel in a way we got a half Romita because there are just some really weird looking panels. They needed a lot of panels. Look like they needed somebody to go back one more time and put in a little definition. There's one scene with Randy where he confronts Peter and his nose just looks so weird. It looks like a big triangle that somebody didn't get through and, go through. I mean, almost like a sketch, and it got filled in and colored and nobody went back into. Exactly. There we go. I mean, and then actually, Brad, go to the next page. The next page where we see Peter after he shut the door on Randy.
Peter's nose?
Not Peter's nose, but just how Peter in general looks. Okay, keep going. Well, that one doesn't look very good either. That one, it's like,
that looks like Pete.
I know he's supposed to be haggard, but holy cow,
that looks like Peter Parker. Yeah.
I
love Peter Parker's cell phone's busted too. I think that's he's got a big crack on it.
That are kind of off, and I don't recall ever. And I didn't read any of his DC work, so I don't know what it looked like. But I'll take your guys' word for it that it was terrible. But I just don't remember, in a John Romita Jr. book saying, "Boy, that panel looks weird. That looks off. That character looks off." So
Hornacek says Pete looks drunk in that panel. The real villain is the federal government. I'll show myself out. Mr. Detkovich. Hornacek says Cardiac needs to show up and solve these healthcare problems for our friend Pete. Hey, Mary, what's going on? Mary's in the house. She says, going with what JR said, Zeb Wells' history of building mystery in Spider-Man has resulted in bad endings. Beyond conclusion led to out-of-control turn for Ben Reilly and unsatisfied readers. So he doesn't have, according to Mary, he doesn't have a good track record of ending.
Well, that whole story from beginning to end was a cluster.
That was a character assassination on Ben Reilly.
Yeah. R.I.P. clone fans. I mean, as if killing him 27 times wasn't bad enough. Let's make him a villain. Josh says, all jokes aside, is anyone actually happy with Marvel once again giving Peter and Mary Jane fans the finger while simultaneously mooning them? Because I'm more than a little tired of it by this point.
So am I.
Yeah.
It's getting old.
I'll agree with that, but I don't think that they really are. I mean, I think that this is building to bring them closer.
Yes. Again, Mark's been wrong a lot of times, but he is right here. They could be building it up. they like to trigger. This is triggering them. This is like, ooh, let's find out what's going on. But nowadays, it's me like, no, I'll wait for the reviews online if I want to buy this comic or not.
Matt has a question.
Now I have to because I have to review it. Damn
Why
it.
do we as fans put up with Marvel editorial when they never want to please every fan of their everyman character, which is Spider-Man?
They pleased us. They have pleased us before.
Yes,
they have.
And it's like George said, though, it's an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
They beat us, then they be a little nice to us and apologize, and then we go back like battered wives. That's all this is.
It wasn't my fault. I hit myself. I'm okay.
Yeah.
But I do think that a lot of the people who are in the business now for the big two do not care anymore. I think it is literally they're waiting for the big two. I think are literally circling the drain, and people are just they're writing stuff and cashing paychecks until the music stops. I don't think anybody cares about artistic integrity.
All right, here's a good one from Josh. What if Paul ends up being Mary Jane's Carly Cooper?
I think they're perfect for each other.
They're Mary Jane is perfect for Paul. Why?
Yeah,
Explain, Mark.
yeah. You see how those kids were hugging on both of them like that? It was heartwarming. Dude. It made me want to buy the next issue.
That panel right there made Mark want to.
Oh yeah, look at that. I might make that my phone background.
Okay, so here is your phone background. That's hysterical. So okay. Here is a hypothetical. Let's do this.
Let's not.
What? What if
it's like he looks like the Hunchback of Notre Dame in that picture?
Now, what if?
Mary.
We're doing a what if? Hypothetically, what if Mary Jane in 6 months did fall for this dude and his kids, and she and they bonded so well that she, as a stepmother, because you can't have these grown-up kids in 6 months, even if you have a goblin serum with them. They can't be this big. So what if they're her stepkids and she's happy?
You could be giving Marvel ideas, and I will blame you if this happens.
So what would we do as Spider fans? Is this such a betrayal if this is face value true? Mark, go for it.
Of course.
I think the large majority of the fandom will come around to seeing the wisdom of this, especially if we compare Peter up with somebody that he deserves. Like, I don't know.
Brad, whatever in that bong, you need to stop.
Yeah, please.
What if? Okay, hold on. What if Mary Jane gets with Paul, gets 2 stepkids, and what if Peter one-ups her and gets with a woman with 3 children?
Jesus.
Are you familiar with the definition of a troll?
Now, I will say, here's what I think might happen here, because we think this might be Mysterio. It might be Mysterio, and he might be doing this to legitimately help out Mary Jane, because I think he likes her, But I think what's going to happen is once the main problem is over, he's not going to want to give that up. I think he's going to want to hoping that maybe she will come to like his imaginary family more than the idea of being with Peter. I think, that's where he's going to become a villain again.
You mean Mark, are you thinking like a Jonathan Caesar type of stalker issue? If that happens,
yeah, kind of, something like that. But instead of him being the stalker, he's actually got her.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. And we know that Mary Jane kind of not likes Mysterio in that way, but she saw him struggling. She went her way to help him, not just to help her career, but I think she sees something in him that she just legitimately likes. Just as a friend or as a struggling performer or something.
That really, for longtime fans, liked Peter. And if Mary Jane likes children and is shown this way, and if this mystery villain who we think is Mysterio goes away, it will just reinforce that Peter and Mary Jane should have kids, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah.
Because she likes children, obviously. Look how she's hugging those guys with the Hunchback of Notre Dame over here, which we got from Gary and the Frozen. I love that. I've got a question, or no, I got a comment that I thought was really funny on Facebook from Jim. Thank God for you guys. I love your dedication. Thank you. You keep me entertained on many stakeouts. So I'm wondering if he's a cop. is he staking out a criminal and killing time in the car? Just
No, he's
watching
trying to
us?
collect. He's trying to collect a hospital debt.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's the debt collector.
He's the debt
You
collector.
better look out, Jim. The cardiac's coming after you, brother.
Or he's one of those cops you see like talking with his friend over there in the parking garage on the college campuses, for like 20, 30 minutes or something.
Eric says MJ's about to get Scarlet Witched. I'm not a monster. I'm a mother. I don't. Michael says I stopped reading Spider-Man for over a decade for less shenanigans. I'd be gone for good if Mary Jane really got with this dude. We're about to wrap this show up. So if you got any comments or questions real quick, we've gone through it. One issue in an hour and 20. So
It was double sized.
it wasn't $10 though, thank goodness.
That's true.
Anthony says Kindred was a good mystery. What happened in the last 6 months is not a good mystery.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, does Peter
Jim
think about his dead friend who came back and then that's now dead again? Is that impacting him at all?
Jim is doing a stakeout at Ryan's father-in-law's house. Is what Hortus says. Issue 1000 would have to be a return of Peter and Mary Jane's baby. Mark, you got to head out, you say.
I have to head out.
You've had enough of Chi-Town shenanigans, huh?
He's
I've triggered him enough. I've triggered him enough.
I'll see you tomorrow morning.
He had to bring on Ryan just to support him, because he knew it was going to be brutal.
Here, real quick, Josh, you answer this one, Mark. Do you think Marvel will stick the landing with this mystery?
Not one bit.
On that note,
I'm hopeful, though. I'm hopeful. I really want it to happen, but I think JR put it well, the best. We were just jaded at this point. We don't expect it to pay off.
We've been in an abusive relationship too much. We've been hit too many times in the fact of bad endings.
How many times can you cry wolf, right?
I know. Mark, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Bye, Mark.
Thank you,
buddy.
Bye.
All right. B-Rich says, thanks, everybody. Great show. I'm not sure about Kindred being a good mystery. I am not either. Couple more. We'll go to about 9:30 if you guys have questions. Gary in the Frozen. When's the next issue coming out? At the end of the month, I think. Right, guys?
Yep. It is it's the last Wednesday.
Are
and
we
you
sure?
can catch.
Aren't there all kinds of crappy ass delays going on? I mean,
there's a lot of delays.
Yeah, this book has been delayed. This book has been delayed for a while.
It could be true or not. The previous week, Marvel Comics were on really thin toilet paper type comics, and this one was not like real thin. So maybe that delayed to get the good paper. Like if you notice the delays with paper, the paper shortage, also the digital codes in the back.
Yep.
They aren't able to print those, so you got to go onto the Marvel website and get those. Anime Hunter says May 25th is when issue 2 comes out. We're recording this May 6th.
That's kind of a long time, isn't it? I mean, aren't they supposed to be cranking these out at 2 a month?
No,
well, we're used to triple 3 comics a month.
Yep. Now they're just doing 2 a month. One in the beginning, one in the end.
Brad, are any of you guys excited for the free comic book day where MJ gets skinned by X-Men foe? We're actually going to be talking about that tomorrow night on our news show. Mary Jane is getting skinned by Moira
McTaggart.
McTaggart, yeah.
X-Men.
Which I mean, come on, it's an X-Men. It's not.
Is that going to bleed into this storyline, the 6 months later storyline?
Probably not.
Probably.
It's
I think
probably someone wanted to use Mary Jane, and they're like, "Oh, what can we do? Let's skin her," which is really gross.
I don't. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think it means. I think it just means I'm going to put my consciousness in your head. I'm going to wear your skin. I mean, that's how I've interpreted it.
No, she skinned Banshee. So the skin of Banshee. So the actual skin. Josh says, Chi-Town, is there any possible? I dropped X-Men. After 30 years, I've dropped X-Men. Only book I pick up is Wolverine. And that's still confusing. Chi-Town, is there any possible way you could end up liking Paul?
Oh, Joshua, you keep on asking the questions and triggering me. I don't know. We'll find out.
Ron,
We'll find out.
Josh is on Ryan's list and Peter's list. Hornacek says, do we think Zeb Wells already knows everything that happened in these 6 months, or will he make it up as he goes along?
Maybe like half. Maybe like half.
I think he knows what happened, and he's definitely got an idea for some things. But yeah, I think he's not too much.
Yeah. That's a good one, Gary. What does JR think of the new Goblin-themed Spider-Man suit that Peter is supposed to get from Norman in a future issue? What do you think of that, JR?
Well, I'll have to wait till I see it.
Have you
The
not
only
seen
thing
it?
it didn't look like a suit. It just looked like he was riding on a glider and he was
Hold
throwing
on.
eggs or something.
You're making me go to the Crawlspace front page. Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to take another look at it.
Sweating gears.
Here it is. Okay. I've got it. Let's take a look. JR, here is, let's get your 2 cents on this. There you go. What
I see. Okay.
are your thoughts on this?
That's such a bad.
You're not digging it?
Remember how some of the original pictures of the Iron Spider came out and it looked
Mhm.
horrible? I'd have to see it in action. I know, the idea of him. I mean, when I first saw the question, there we go. That's exactly what I was thinking of. I mean, it's like, if you're going to rip something off, rip off, something else. But yeah, that's what I was talking about. It was like, I remember the glider and the throwing the eggs, but I mean, I'm really kind of holding my breath on this. Part of me almost wishes they wouldn't bring Norman back for a while. I just don't trust him to do him right.
Has the evil side of Norman still in her.
Yeah.
So
goofy.
And they left that on Beyond too as well.
How dumb does Peter have to be to say, "Hey Norman, I hear you making me a suit. Let's sell some action figures, man."
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's kind of like, didn't you, if you caught it when Peter says, May, Randy, Norman, they're all right, and it's like, what, he and Norman are buds now? I mean, here's the thing. I mean, there is in Spider. I mean, we are talking about a character that they've been telling stories for 60 years, so there are some times where we're going to see the tired old tropes after that many years, but there is, I think, a story to be told about Norman and Peter actually working together or something. There is a story there, but do you trust the writers to tell it in a way that protects the integrity of both characters?
No.
And no,
we've been burned too much.
Yeah. And this whole idea of the evil, actually Norman's evil being something that's quantifiable and transferred. I mean, again, it's the same grain of same thing. Okay, it is a comic book, but the idea that Norman's evil is rather than a character flaw, or rather than a life philosophy, that it's something that's like, well, here's your evil and here's your, So
Eric says it looks like a canned Marvel Legend idea. Some person's name I can't read, but they say Spider-Man Crawlspace. I have Spider-Man. Well, good for you.
Like Tobey Maguire said, that's great. What is that?
What is that? Yes. Is anyone excited for the prospect of a gang war between Tombstone, the Rose, and the Digger? I honestly think it has potential, says Josh.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, I think so. ES wants to know about our thoughts about No Way Home. No spoiler. No spoilers. You haven't seen it, ES.
Oh,
been out since December,
we're not
my
going to talk
man.
about it.
No, we're not
going to talk about it.
I gave it an A-, I think.
I gave it an A.
We can give grades, JR. What was your grade?
I forget, but it was probably like an A- or something.
Yep,
Chi-Town, A? Ryan?
I was an A. Yeah,
it was a great film. I mean,
my wife gave it an A.
Yeah, I like when the Hulk showed up. It was great.
I'm something of a costume maker myself. Yes, I see Trust Obey 1016. Yes.
Mary wants to know, Brad, what are your thoughts on Star Trek Strange New Worlds? I absolutely loved it. Should JR try it? A, out of me, Mary. Strange New Worlds was like so awesome. Like it's classic Trek. I can't speak highly enough. JR, do you have Paramount Plus?
Absolutely not.
Get it. My God, you would love this show. Captain Pike.
No, I refuse. It
was such a nice taste because the Picard season 2 has not been that great.
these are the same people who brought you Discovery and Picard. Okay,
It's
they're going to
it's
F
like
you.
it's a different team. It's very similar to Amazing Spider-Man 1 in the fact that, by God, I can't wait for the next episode. I mean, it's got Mary. I can't speak highly enough. Ryan, I think have you watched it yet?
I got into a few minutes of it. I was very enjoyable about it, and I will
so
finish.
good.
But so far, I like.
The Enterprise. It's just so beautiful. I mean, it's just the special effects. Oh, Mary, I'm over the moon with it. Chi-Town, have you seen it yet?
No.
No, it's so good. So good. Anime Hunter wants to know what our take is on Dark Web with Ben teaming up with an X-Men villain, which is Madam, what's her name? The Madeline Pryor. Madeline Pryor.
The Goblin Queen. The original
The Goblin Queen. Not this Goblin Queen, but the different
Queen
one.
Goblin.
The Queen Goblin.
Why do they call her the Goblin Queen when she doesn't look like one? All she does is just wear a thing that her breasts are falling out of. That doesn't quite say Goblin Queen to me.
It's based off off Inferno, because Chris Claremont, big novels guy, but he based it off Inferno is the name.
CB Muscles loving JR's poster.
That's a great Alex Ross does a great Green Goblin.
Yeah.
That was the cover. That was one of the variant covers for New Ways to Die, and I saw this in a poster, and I said, "I beautiful have that." Yeah, it is. It's a very good poster.
ES is going to watch No Way Home from our recommendation. So there you go. Okay. Couple things. Tomorrow night we got a show coming up. Spider News. JR will not be joining us to get all the various weird stuff that's happening. Also, we're going to do, after that show, we're going to do, oh crap, where'd the image go? I lost the image. Hold on. I'll get
Norman Osborn, everybody.
It's because I went to the Crawlspace website just to show JR what the goblin looked like. Hey, where did it go?
In case he forgot.
Hold on. Brad's messing with tabs.
I like where it says "Howdy, Brad Douglas" on the top.
Where?
On the WordPress, it says "Howdy, Brad Douglas."
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm logged in as me. All right. So we got Spider News coming up. JR, we actually don't have any weird things coming up in the month. So you're not gonna miss much.
I had to leave Saturday. I have to leave Saturdays open for a while. So.
No problem. Here it is. I have found the other image that I wanted to tell you all about. And if I can rearrange my windows some more, I blame JR that messed me up with all this, because I had it perfectly tabbed. All right. We're also going to be on Patreon this weekend, where we're going to review at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books, including the free comic book day preview. Is that coming out tomorrow?
Yes,
is that
tomorrow. Yes.
Okay, so that's coming out tomorrow.
We'll pick our issues.
Yep.
My the Avengers and the X-Men and the Eternals team up book came early in my box, so I've actually I saw what happened to Mary Jane in that one. We'll talk about that one. We've got What If Miles Morales Became Wolverine, latest issue of Venom. We got I think the 3rd or the 4th issue of Ben Reilly Spider-Man. Gwen Stacy's got the Gwenverse happening. Neil absolutely adores the Silk book. He says the Silk book is what Spider-Man should be, is what he says. So high praise for the Silk book. So if you guys want to check that out, you can log on to our Patreon's site and check that out.
Would you guys have liked New Coke too back in the day?
No.
Liking these knockoffs?
No.
You know?
Why not? Also, we got the I think the 2nd issue of Carnage we're going to review. That will be a Patreon exclusive over on patreon.com/crawlspace. So with that, let's do final thoughts. Hornacek, what? You heard it here, folks. Brad says that tomorrow's Spider News episode is full of serious, non-silly topics. Well, I don't have the old man saying, I found this in January of 2003.
Yeah, this isn't news. This is olds.
This is old. Well, you find the damn Spider News and make a show out of it, JR. Go. Ryan, final thoughts. What do we got?
I'm glad I didn't spend $10 for issue 1, and I enjoyed the gang war, and I'm writing a book. There we go. I've said I'm writing a book. Okay.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, I am writing
What's
a book.
the book about? Tell me all about it.
I just had a little piece coming out recently, Canva Classroom by Amanda Fox, one of the authors there. But my website, my podcast, the Pixel Classroom podcast, I'm in early stages for that. So hopefully sometime next year. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's in very early stages, but hopefully be out sometime next year.
And Chi-Town, final thoughts, sir.
Where's Mike? Is he okay?
You know what? Mike never joined us on the show.
That's right.
Oh, I wrote at 8:03. It is now 9:35.
He had said he had trouble at the bank.
He said, "I'm on my way home. Give me 10 to 15 minutes," is what he wrote at 8:03. I wrote, "Are you almost home?" at 8:34. It is now 9:35. I hope Mike is okay. He was supposed to join us.
I hope so too.
Yeah. So anyway, Chi-Town, final thoughts?
That was my final thought.
Oh, we hope Mike's okay. Oh, man. If you want to see Chi-Town's written reviews, he does it on the front page of the Crawlspace. Also, Ryan does video reviews of the issues. And if I click on this, it should come back. There it is right there. Reads, and he embeds his YouTube clip right here.
And there will be a new episode this weekend over Ben Riley.
There you go.
And the Free Comic Book Day.
And the staff alternates, right, guys? Well, Ryan does all of them on the video.
Yeah.
And
Mark and I do the written reviews. We alternate with that.
Yeah.
And Ryan does all by video reviewing them.
Right.
So.
And if you look on Mark's, which is Alfred Notes,
Jesus.
that is Chi-Town. It's his every book.
Every book.
Every book he puts Chi-Town with a graduation hat on the top of them. So, but these guys, if you haven't read their reviews, all three of them are absolutely awesome. That they do this every week when Spider-Man comes out. So check those out on the front page. Hornacek goes, "Holy crap, I forgot all about Mike."
I didn't forget about you, Mike. I got
Mike.
your side.
Mike, we will find out tomorrow night if Mike is okay.
Here's your mystery, Crawlspacers. What happened to Mike?
And what about who the hell's Paul? Where the hell's Paul?
Stop.
Who's Paul?
Stop.
I'm gonna hide behind the logo now.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Oh! Here we have a DM from Mike. He must be watching. Hold on, this mystery will be solved before we wrap up the show.
They have to turn the next review.
Hold on. Let me see. Let me
It's
pre-read it.
Brad, what are you doing?
I once read on air what someone DM'd me, and George was like, "Okay, this is a secret. Don't tell anybody on the show." I'm like, "Oh crap! I just read it on the show."
And he's going to do it again.
Oh, okay. So there was indeed a problem at the bank. So he had to stay late. Okay. So Mike, I'm glad you're okay. Viewers, he's okay. JR, final thoughts. You and the goblin up there.
Well, just like a battered spouse, I guess we'll be back for the next one.
Jeez. 6 months later.
Hey,
Mike.
now I know what Johnny Depp felt like.
All right, Crawlspacers. This is a fun one. I hope you enjoyed it. We will be back in June to review another issue of Amazing Spider-Man, and we'll be back tomorrow night for Spider News and the Patreon show. Peace out, y'all.